it's every single person on our team, and nobody played well today. And
obviously a very disappointing loss for the Indiana Fever too. They got blown out by 19 points. They lost 80-61.
Caitlin Clark is finally back, but what should have been a triumphant return turned into a total disaster. The Indiana Fever didn't just lose, they completely collapsed. Clark looked out of sync, exhausted, even frustrated. And now, fans are asking the one question no one expected this early in her career: did they rush her back just to sell tickets?
So this was Caitlin Clark's return to the Indiana Fever. She has been out with a groin injury. She started the game and Lexi Hull lost her starting spot to Caitlin Clark. They started Ari McDonald, Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Mitchell, Natasha Howard, and Aaliyah Boston. Now what we noticed right off the bat is that Caitlin Clark was playing off the ball quite a bit, and I feel like if you've been a fan of Caitlin Clark, if you've watched her play, she just doesn't really do well playing off the ball. She is a ball dominant player. She needs the ball in her hands most of the time, whether she is scoring or whether she is making plays on the ball to get her teammates involved. She needs to have the ball in her hands most of the time, and that just wasn't happening. So that was
the Indiana Fever actually started to show a little fight, a little rhythm, a glimpse of potential. But when word broke that Clark was returning, everything changed. Fans circled the date, the league turned up the hype. This wasn't just a regular season matchup anymore, it was Clark versus the champs. Clark versus Aya Wilson. ESPN promoted it like a playoff showdown.
She ended the night with 10 points, 6 assists, and 5 rebounds. She was 2 for 5 from the 3 and 4 for 12 from the field. Now, something else that I noticed with the Indiana Fever today, the energy was low across the board.
Indiana packed the arena. Social media lit up with countdowns. The buzz was back. But then the game tipped off, and everything came crashing down. From the opening possession, you could tell something was off. Caitlin Clark didn't look like herself. Her shot was flat. Her movement looked stiff. The confidence in her body language, nowhere to be found. The final stat line told the story. Just 11 points. 4 of 15 shooting. 2 for 10 from deep. But it wasn't just the numbers. She wasn't creating shots. Wasn't breaking down the defense. On the other end, she got beat off the dribble. Caught in switches. Exposed by savvy guards like Kelsey Plum. She turned the ball over. Looked uncertain. And when the moment came to take control, to rally her team back into the fight, she just faded.
And even in the first quarter of play, the Indiana Fever had 16 points in the first 5 minutes of play, but they ended the first half with only 32 points. So they literally only scored another 16 points in the last 15 minutes of the first half, and then that.
But it wasn't just Caitlin. The entire Indiana Fever squad collapsed right before our eyes. They gave up 92 points and looked completely outmatched. Like a college team thrown into a pro scrimmage. The Las Vegas Aces didn't need fancy plays, they were running layup lines, scoring at will, with Indiana offering no resistance. Defensively, the Fever were lost, no help, no communication, just open lanes and open shooters. Offensively, it was even worse, no ball movement, no structure, just confusion and hesitation. Caitlin looked unsure, Aaliyah Boston looked frustrated, and the coaching staff, completely silent on the sideline, as if they had no plan B, or even a plan A. It wasn't just a loss, it was a breakdown. You could see it on their faces by the third quarter, a team that had stopped believing, stopped competing, and maybe, stopped caring. On national TV, with the whole league watching, Indiana didn't just get beaten, they got exposed.
They truly play as an actual team. I'm going to tell you, they're a well-coached team too, by the way. And, we think this game was bad. And look, now you're seeing this. I know one coach who wouldn't let this happen. Look, at least Christy Sides would attempt to everything. If she would have lived and died through Caitlin Clark shooting the ball and distributing the ball. And I mean, this is wild, folks. This is wild, and it's not good.
After the final buzzer, the energy in the Fever locker room was hollow. No noise, no fire. Just silence. Players avoided eye contact, sitting with slumped shoulders, peeling off jerseys like the weight of the loss was still stuck to their skin. Reporters, who usually swarm with questions, now spoke in hushed tones, as if even they knew something wasn't right. Caitlin Clark faced the cameras. She gave the textbook answers. We need to be better. I've got to find my rhythm again. But behind her words, you could see it in her eyes. This one cut deep. Not just physically, not just because of the missed shots, but mentally. Because all the hype, all the pressure, all the weight of the WNBA spotlight is crashing down on a 22-year-old rookie who's trying to lift a franchise that's barely standing on its own. And outside that locker room, the internet was on fire, but not with praise. This time, it was criticism. She's not ready for the league. This ain't Iowa, this is the W. They rushed her back just to sell tickets. She's being used for marketing. Some fans still defended her, begged for patience, but others flipped, calling her overrated, a media creation. And a louder group started pointing fingers elsewhere, not at Caitlin, but at Christy Sides, the head coach. Comments flooded in, "You're misusing her. She has no help. You're wasting her rookie season." And honestly, watching that game, seeing how lost and unsupported Clark looked, they might be right.
I don't know what a shining light would be for this team. You cannot lose at home to the awful.
The truth is, Caitlin Clark doesn't need to be fixed, she needs to be used properly. She's a once-in-a-generation offensive weapon, elite court vision, deep shooting range, and a feel for the game that most players never develop. But instead of building an offense around her, with layered actions, inside-out sets, and pick-and-roll dynamics, the Fever are running isolation-heavy, predictable schemes that leave her stranded. There's no movement, no rhythm, no trust in her playmaking instincts. It's like the coaching staff doesn't know who they drafted. And this falls squarely on head coach Christy Sides, because at this point, it's not just about strategy, it's about judgment. The decisions being made on the sideline are confusing at best, damaging at worst. Why is Clark being taken off the ball for long stretches when her greatest strength is controlling tempo and creating offense? Why are shooters not being developed around her to punish double teams? Why is the team so often caught flat-footed, reacting to the other side instead of dictating? The most concerning part, there's no visible growth. Game after game, the same issues repeat. Broken spacing, no urgency in transition, late defensive rotations. Clark is running the same handoffs and stagnant perimeter actions that aren't getting her clean looks, and when those shots don't fall, she's left taking heat from the media, while the real problem stays hidden behind the bench.
Body language on the court, and it wasn't just from one player, it was multiple players on the Fever. So I don't know even what to say. Like, some of the stuff I'm just kind of like, I don't really know what happened. They weren't playing in sync. There was a lot of iso ball happening. There was a lot of selfish basketball being played. There was a lot of shots that I was just so confused as to why those shots were even being.
Caitlin Clark doesn't have what so many greats were given early in their careers, a safety net. No veteran point guard to mentor her. No structured offense built around her game. No consistent system that plays to her strengths. Instead, she's being asked to carry the weight of a franchise, and arguably, the entire league's attention, with zero foundational support. And the longer this continues, the more dangerous it becomes. Not just for the team, but for her. Because when you put a young player in a broken system.
But with that, you guys, the Golden State Valkyries continue to be a team that is shocking the WNBA. They were a team that a lot of people thought were not even going to make playoffs this year, but their coach has done such a fantastic job with this team. Their rotations are on point. It's almost like you don't even realize when they are putting in subs because the rotations are so seamless when someone steps on the court. They also don't have any players on this team that are like big superstars. You know,
what breaks first isn't just their game, it's their rhythm, their confidence, their belief in what makes them great. This isn't just unfair, it's irresponsible, and it's not about wins and losses anymore. It's about the long-term trajectory of a generational talent. Indiana didn't just draft a player, they inherited a responsibility. And right now, they're failing that responsibility at every level. You don't take a talent like Caitlin Clark and ask her to fit in. You build out from her. You tailor the offense to her vision, her shooting, her pace. You create chemistry, put smart veterans around her, and give her the space to lead. And most importantly, you allow her to develop without dumping the blame at her feet every time things go wrong.
So they shot 37.5% from three, and they were 37% from the field, which is funny because they shot better from three than they even did from the field. But overall, I continued to be impressed by this team, and I especially continue to be impressed by the coaching.
Because if this pattern continues, if the Fever keep wasting possessions, wasting talent, and wasting time, then the conversation won't be about growing pains anymore. It'll be about wasted potential, about a generational star who could have reshaped women's basketball, and a franchise that let that moment pass them by. This game exposed more than just poor execution, it revealed a system that's failing its star
players in the draft. They traded their coaches, and a lot of people think they know why. So last year, Coach Cheryl Reeve had a few things to say about Caitlin Clark on Twitter. This was one of the exchanges. Cheryl Reeve tweeted about a preseason game and how the Lynx weren't going to be playing, and that the Lynx game, wasn't going to be televised. And so somebody commented, they said, "Is there a reason why it's not being shown?" And someone else commented, and they said, "Because because they only care about Caitlin. And Cheryl Reeve tweeted and she said that part.
Caitlin Clark isn't struggling because she's not good enough. She's struggling because she's been thrown into a broken offense with no structure, no spacing, and no real plan. While other top players thrive in systems built to highlight their strengths, Clark is being asked to carry an entire franchise with little support and zero adjustments. She's being overworked, undercoached, and overexposed, and it's only her rookie season. If Indiana doesn't course correct soon, this won't just be a developmental setback, it could permanently derail one of the most promising careers the WNBA has ever seen. Is Caitlin Clark being set up to fail, or is this just the brutal path to becoming great? Drop your thoughts in the comments.